Okay guys, here I am. Now, are you guys ready for a color grading tutorial with Premiere Pro CC? Ooh, it's one of my favorite topics ever. Balance out the colors so that your footage looks Hollywood. You can make a poorly shot footage looks fantastic with just some tweaks in the shadows and the highlights and the skin tone. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Paul Heyman here, excited to do this Premiere Pro tutorial about color grading. Now in this specific episode, I'm not going to use any LUTs, lookup table. As many of you are maybe beginners, I'm going to cover that in a future video. On this channel, we cover gear review, Premiere Pro tutorials, After Effects tutorials, and tips and tricks to make your filmmaking skills hopefully a little bit better. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. I color grade all of the footage that I shoot, sometimes because I need to color correct it, meaning that it was not shot in the specification that I really had intended to do. And sometimes I just grade it to have this filmic look to it, or maybe like a Hollywood look to it, and make it just look much more expensive. The clients love it, my cat loves it, right? Leia? Yeah, her name is Leia, Star Wars.
You like color correction? Do you? Yes. Let's go down.
So today we're going to show you 4 kind of color grading, all of them shot in different lighting situations: interior, exterior, cloudy, sunny, and a little bit rain as well. Let's go to my computer and head into Premiere Pro. Okay, here we are inside Premiere Pro CC. Now let's start off by creating a new sequence. Okay, and let's start with the car clip that I have in the intro, in and out point already selected. So here we have it. Before we start our color correction, let's go into color. We're also going to use the scopes because your eyes will deceive you after color grading for a couple of hours, or actually after only a couple of minutes, meaning that the whites that you start to believe are white are actually not anymore. Here we can see, for example, the shadows, they need more blue. Now they are too red. And my car is black, and there's way too much red, and we can see that it was a very rainy day, overcast, so not too many colors in this shots anyway, but let's spice it up. Also here you can see the midtones, blues are needed, and also in the highlights. Now let's start with adjusting the white balance just a little bit and look at the scopes, how they start to even out. Okay, so here we see now that the blue in the midtones are in the middle, so that is pretty all right. Here they are starting to be leveled with the green and the red. Now let's also bring the red down a bit. I'm going to put some more green in it since it's a car. It always looks a bit nicer with some blue and green instead of the warm tones. All right, now I would also bring down the shadows a bit, just a tad. Make it pop a bit more. Contrast, again, let's adjust that a bit. Let's do a before and after. It's already starting to look better, okay? I start to like this quite a lot actually. I always like to have the shadows a little bit bluer. Then I would also, if we see here in the midtones, the reds are fairly low, so I would push the midtones a little bit towards orange, and I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see how it looks like in motion. Okay, you can see that it's moving a bit. Now what I like to do, let's go back to the editing. I mean this was shot handheld. Let's drop a warp stabilizer on top of it to make it smoother. Okay, it is now stabilized. Let's see how it did. Fantastic, I'm very happy with that. Let's put a adjustment layer. Okay, let's bring this over here. and then we put the effect crop. Put it on there, boing. Let's go to the effect control and let's just do 12 on the top, 12 on the bottom. Now it starts to look really much more like a Hollywood movie or something shot on film. Okay, let's look at the before and after. Boom. Maybe I would like this hood to pop out a little bit more. Let's see if we can do that by bringing up the midtones a bit. Yeah, you see that? And I'm going to also lower the shadows even further. So we get nice contrast. You can see the droplets on the car starts to really separate. I like it, okay. This is pretty good. So here you can see that the image is well graded. There's information in everything from the shadows, midtones and the highlights. I would say this image is approved. So a very good starting point is to push some blue into the shadows, which is often used in Hollywood movies. And you want to have nice contrast, but be careful. Look at your scopes because your eyes will deceive you. So always, regardless of where you are in the color grading process, keep an eye out on the scopes and that there's no strange colors going on there in that image. Now let's go to the next one. In and out point already chosen, selected. Okay, let's drag it down to the timeline. Oh, it's shot in 4K and the timeline is in 1080. Let's set scale to frame size. Now here you can see that I am a little bit too high in the frame. So what we can do then, since we have the black bars up and down, is just put me a little bit more down. So I'm almost touching the top black bar. Now let's go to the color. Now this one is a little bit magenta reddish. Sometimes I actually prefer to shoot it a little bit more red than normal because it will preserve my skin tones and colors pretty well. If I shoot it too green or too blue, the skin tone is very difficult to recover. So that's why it looks a little bit too strange now. Let's try to get rid of the reddish hue here. So let's put some green into it. All right, maybe a bit more. So we have that teal kind of look to it. Also, let's put some blue into it, not too much though. Brilliant. Exposure, let's put that up just a notch. The highlights, I have to bring them down a bit because they are a little bit too high. That's my face. Let's say this one. The shot is pretty desaturated, so I'm going to put some color back into it. We're going to work on the color more afterwards. Also sharpness. Let's put some vibrance into it. Okay, it's already starting to look pretty good. Let's do a quick before and after. There we go. Now we're starting to look natural. Now let's go down to the curves. Now I still think that my face is a little bit too red, so I'm gonna put this eye drop thingy on my face, and here we go. Gonna bring down the reds towards orange, but just a little bit, because if we put it too much, I'll look like the Hulk. So just a little bit. I'm also gonna bring some color into my face, just a bit as well here, very subtle. The Luma, I think I might still be a little bit too bright, so let's bring down my the Luma on my face just a little bit. Okay, let's see. Starting to look much better. I would also bring still some blue into the shadows, just a little bit here, and compensate that with bringing some yellows back in the midtones and the highlights. Let's play it back. Now we can also remove the color in the shadows. Of course, my t-shirt has a slight blue hue to it now, so let's just bring that down. You can see that difference here. The shadow with a lot of color in it. You can see that my t-shirt looks blue, and if I put it down, whoop, it gets black, what it should be. Now, it's a creative decision if you want to leave some blue in it, you know, I mean, that's fine if you want to leave it actually where it was, but I would like my t-shirt to look black now. And after we have gotten this new feature in Premiere Pro, I'm sure that we're going to see much more true blacks and true whites in the upcoming videos from the creators. If we want to do a further orange and teal look, let's bring some more green into it. Okay, now that is pretty green. Let's bring some blue into it as well. So this is a creative decision. I think it looks pretty cool. This is before and after, like day and night. Now, to make sure that my skin tones are correct, we have a power tip for you. So let's go back to the editing tab. Let's go to the effects. I have the crop already written in here. Now, what we're gonna do is to make a mask around my face. We can do the circle one. Make that a bit smaller. Just like this. I'm gonna remove my, so that my lips are not there, maybe not even my eyes. And the background cannot be there. That highlight on the right, my left side, does not need to be there neither. So now what we're gonna do is do like that, invert it, boom, go back to color. Now we're gonna go down here and we're gonna do vector scope YUV. So this line is representing our skin tones, okay? And here you can see that the colors on my skin is spot on. Yeah, so I don't need to do any more color correction there. So let's just go back to editing. We can remove that crop because we know that my skin tone is scientifically correct. So as you can see, it's very important to actually mask out your face so that you can see straight away if your skin tones are true or not. You have that line in the vector scope telling you scientifically if you are spot on or not. Now, it doesn't matter the skin type because we all end up more or less on that line. Let's go to the next clip, shall we? That is called, no, let's go to the landscape first. Okay, so this is a shot of a beautiful landscape. Again, I would like this to be a little bit higher in the frame. There we are. So let's go to the basic correction here. Let's bring it down just a little bit. Contrast, we can play with a bit. Shadows down, starting to look cool. Let's do the standard by putting some blue in the shadows, not too much though. But here what I would like to do is, it's very bright and it's a bit boring, to be honest. The green here is very green. So now what I would like to do is lower the saturation of the greens. That's going to make a huge impact of the whole. So let's pick a patch over here. Now we're going to just do like this, and there we are removing those parts of the green. You can see down here that we still have some kind of like yellow greenish. Now I'm going to spread this one out a bit to that side and also in the towards the red. Okay, cool. Now this one can go back, but I would also like to actually add some color, some saturation in the reds, so we have that nice contrast. Let's also bring down the luma a bit on the green, just a bit, somewhere here. That's starting to look cool. Now let's go back up again to the, you can see here the curves, it's pretty well spread, meaning that we have a lot of good information. Now let's go to the creative part and put some vibrance into it. Oh yes. Now I think that these green parts are, I don't think that I managed to take them with the saturation. Let me just double check here. Boop. Yeah, there we go. So I should lower this just a little bit as well, so it's more uniform. All right, cool. Before and after. That looks great. So remove some of the green in your landscape pictures. They're going to look much richer. Have a good contrast again. Put some blue into the shadows, but you always need to compensate that. Make the greens darker, make them a little bit desaturated. In my point of view, it really helps. Now, the last picture we're going to show you is a combination of color grade and a color correction. It was way too underexposed, but also the colors there were a little bit boring, and I wanted to make that shot a little bit more Instagrammy, if you like. What do I mean by that? I would like as few colors as possible popping out inside that specific footage. I wanted the greens again to basically disappear from the picture. I wanted the red tones to be earthy, but I also wanted the leaves behind her to also be very subtle in that look. And the scarf, let's see what we do with that, because that one was way too purple. You don't even need to have the scopes, but you can see that this image is underexposed, okay? And then we go color, there we are. So we can see here that the scopes shows us, as we said, it is way too underexposed. Let's put the exposure higher. Let's do the shadows up a bit as well. Now, here we have to be careful with the noise in the image. If you have underexposed an image, there's a big chance of there being noise in it, okay? This looks pretty good for the moment. What I don't like with this picture is that the red is really red, and it takes a lot of attention in this specific scene. So what I would do is go to our favorite hue saturation curves, pick it, whoops, and just lower the saturation slightly. Also, you know by now that we always put some blue in the shadows. Now, you can see that it's starting to look a bit weird. It's got this magenta tone to it when you put the blues in the shadows. Let's put some yellow back here in the midtones and the highlights. Gonna go over here again, make it a bit cooler because there's a lot of brown there. Try to remove the magenta tones. Okay, I want it to be even cooler. There's like a slight green in these rocks, which I'm not convinced of, because I want it to be a cooler shots. So let's go into the curves and let's select those greens, put that, remove some of that green in the shots. You can actually stretch that a bit more. I could actually go and do some bluer here. Some vibrance into it, just a tad. Yeah, it's a little bit too red for my taste. So what we can do actually is go to the hue and saturation here. Let's just pick and see where it is. Okay, so it's here. Now what we have to be careful with is the hair and skin tone, because if I start pulling this down, you see that the hair is being affected as well, and that's not nice. Before and after, day and night. Okay, now this is a color correction and grading on top of that, but already it's starting to look pretty decent. You know, the hair has the same tones as the floor, which is very important. What we can try to do is actually change the color of this red scarf. Let's see if we can do that so it matches the background a little bit more. Oh, she disappeared. There we are. So let's go towards the orange and yellow. That one is not too bad, but then I'd rather pull down the saturation a bit as well to it. Now we are talking. Now let's play it back to see that there's nothing weird going on it's stable, yeah. So this looks pretty cool. Now you have the same color scarf as these lovely leaves over here. We have removed the weird greenness in the rocks. So let's do the before after again. Okay, starting to look very Instagrammy. Now let's also go and remove any cast in her jacket. Zip. Wasn't too much. So since it was not too much, I would actually put some more blue. Maybe let's go over here and just put it in the shadows. Just a little bit. Knowing that the jacket will stay black. Now let's go through what we've done. We've done this one. Lovely prairie in Priorat, Spain, Catalonia. Here we have fixed my skin tone, matching much better the background. And my car we have also made look more into like a Hollywood kind of look. So there you have it. I mean, it's not that complicated, is it? You just need some practice, go out and shoot some more footage, shoot daylight, nighttime, when it's raining, inside, put some spotlights up, put your lamp on. I mean, just go out and shoot, practice using these basic tips. I'm also gonna have a video out when you do use LUTs, and I'm gonna put them out for sale. And there's gonna be a sale coming up. I like to save money. I mean, if you've seen my other videos, I always talk about saving money. Love saving money. Because I want to buy PlayStation games. If you got some good tips and tricks here, please give it a thumbs up. It really makes a difference. I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel, as I'm gonna pump out tutorials regarding Premiere Pro, After Effects, gear reviews, and film tips and tricks in general. Until next time, Paul signing off. Bye. Oh, it's cold and dark.